All right, everyone, welcome back to the New Sentinel. Today we're talking about something massive, 8.9 billion worth of massive, to be precise. The US government just picked up a nearly 10% stake in Intel. That's right, a shade under 500,000,000 shares. Duke, can you remind folks why this isn't just a regular old grant or a market buy-up?
Yeah, so here's the BDA, big deal announcement. This all kicks off with the CHIPS and Science Act, right? Feds authorized $53 billion, trying to bulldoze ahead on domestic chip production. Most folks thought it'd be nothing but those regular grants, push cash, get jobs or hardware, classic. But this time, they went with straight-up equity. We're not talking buying shares on the open market either. Intel issued fresh primary shares just to Uncle Sam at a fixed price. Kind of wild.
Yup. And don't forget that Secure Enclave program, Department of Defense. That's $3.2 billion for secure chip fabrication. Basically, making sure our defense systems aren't running foreign-made silicon that could get backdoored. The government took that funding and instead of handing it out, rolled it up with the rest into this equity deal.
I want to emphasize the structure, though. The government won't have a board seat at Intel, not a governance play in the classic sense. According to the deal, their voting rights pretty much track with Intel's board. And there's even a warrant in there. If the government loses control of Intel's foundry business, they can buy another 5%. It's, how you say, a soft power move? Less control, more influence by presence.
Right, Olga. And the equity conversion business, why did they use that instead of sticking with grants? On the surface, it feels like an accountability measure. The government didn't just toss cash and hope for results. It bought a seat at the table, sort of, and now Intel's got to deliver. Sentinel, you see it that way?
Somewhat. I'd call it hedging bets. Instead of being yet another line item lost in a defense budget, Washington's got some actual skin in the game. They're gambling that bringing chips home will matter more than just cutting checks with no recourse if things go sideways.
Intel's CEO, Lip-Bu Tan, didn't exactly have a mountain of options either. Pressure coming in from the White House, all that Panther Lake chip drama. Couldn't stay competitive without serious, next-level cash.
And let's not overlook that public accountability component. With this stake, the American taxpayer gets to see some benefit if Intel rebounds, instead of just another corporate subsidy vanishing into the ether. Interesting times, eh?
You want to talk stakes? National security's front and center. Semiconductors run everything these days. Fighter jets, farm equipment, refrigerators. Half the world's advanced chips come out of places like Taiwan and South Korea. We saw how fragile that was when supply chains splintered over the past couple years.
Copy that, Sentinel. And we covered in that Trade Wars and Pipelines episode. Look, foreign dependency's a strategic liability. That's not just about China either. If you can't make silicon here, somebody else pulls the plug. And poof, there go your comms, your missiles, even your toasters. Big mess.
What stands out to me is how rare this is, right? The last time the feds got this deep into a private business was the auto bailouts, Chrysler and GM. Sentinel, you served during those years. What did you make of it?
I remember the GM and Chrysler bailouts. Folks were up in arms, government stepping in, saving jobs, yeah, but also kind of warping competition. At the time, nobody thought we'd see that kind of play outside banking or cars. This Intel thing, it's the first real tech play. With GM, the feds took equity, then worked to bail out, not meddle long term. History says it can work, but it also gets messy. Public pressure, rushed decisions, all that.
I find it fascinating, yes. This is government saying, we're not just pouring cash, we're actually shaping the outcome. They've set a precedent. It's not only about keeping up with China or the EU, it also marks a shift in industrial policy towards something almost, interventionist, like in a European sense, but more market-oriented. That can mean, for a while at least, stronger social oversight over a critical tech sector.
That idea of oversight's important. Remember, this isn't the government grabbing the steering wheel, but it sure is day, not just rubber stamping paychecks. Sentinel, You buy that this will actually nudge Intel to deliver where it's fallen short? Or is this just political optics with some skin in the game?
Well, Chukwuka, honestly, sometimes a little oversight goes a long way. Keeps companies on track. But there's always a risk. Heavy hand, you drive talent or innovation right out the door. But if you're staring down the barrel of a semiconductor's Cold War, you gotta take some risks.
And let's not forget the worker and consumer angle. More localized production could mean better labor standards, environmental protection. Maybe. That's a big maybe, but it's a direction worth watching. If only it would trickle down to the people on the ground, not just shareholders and politicians, no?
Now, when the deal dropped, President Trump came out swinging, called it a great deal for America and a great deal for Intel. Commerce Secretary Lutnick threw in that this won't be a repeat playbook for every chip company. Duke, you buying that, or is there always another loophole?
I don't know, Chukwuka. You know how DC is. Say it's not the norm until next time it's suddenly the norm. But Lutnick was pretty direct. No equity tricks for TSMC or Micron. At least that was the posture. Honestly, though, you put a warrant clause in there, and it kind of smells like keeping options open just in case.
Intel's leadership made their choice. Lip-Bhutan, he was between a rock and a hard place. Panther Lake wasn't lighting up the scoreboard against AMD or the Asian competition. Competition's fierce. Sometimes the government is your best backstop.
From my side, the European response is skeptical, at best. Many in the EU argue massive state stakes distort the market, picking winners and losers. We've had our own debates on tech nationalism. No consensus there, but honestly, watching America going full interventionist might shift the balance in global policy debates. It raises concerns. We saw with nationalization of energy firms, sometimes it does not work for the broader public.
Yeah, and you know, Sentinel, this is the ripple effect, right? Not just for Intel, but for U.S. tech at large, and frankly, for the global market. We're in a new phase, no question about it.
Exactly. This is a turning point. It's not just about chips. It's about who sets the pace for the next gen of innovation, America or someone else. Might take a few years for these ripples to turn into waves, but we're all along for the ride.
As long as the benefits reach beyond the boardroom, maybe these waves won't just crash. They could lift some boats too. We'll be here to keep watch, and probably argue about it again next quarter.
Hell yeah, Olga. We'll be tracking if this starts a trend or fizzles out with all the usual political kabuki. Either way, it's a wild ride for the industry. Chukwuka, you want to sign us off?
All right, that's going to wrap us for today. If you thought this was big, wait till the next episode. There's always something up in these power corridors. Sentinel, Duke, Olga, good talking with you, as usual.
Thank you, Chukwuka. Always a pleasure. Let's see what the future brings.
Yeah, thanks, team. See you next time, folks.
Later, y'all. Stay sharp.